Hello. Oh, there it goes. Oh, can you hear me? Everyone hear me okay? In the back, thumbs up, hands up. Yes, yes, yes. We are talking about the most exciting asset in transportation. Not the truck, not the chassis, not the box. We're talking about the trailer. These gentlemen to my left, your right, stage left, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a theater guy. We are talking about the coolest asset class out there, trailers, specifically drop trailers. Who am I? Let me introduce myself to all of you. My name is Matthew Leffler. I am the armchair attorney. I am a lawyer. I am an adjunct law professor at Michigan State University College of Law. Go green. Someone say go white. Thank you. That's what it's about. No, it's not about Michigan State tonight, even though they did beat Illinois. Haha. We are here to talk about drop trailers. But before we can do that, let my esteemed panelists introduce themselves. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, happy to be here. My name is Tom Larson, Senior Vice President of Sales at ITS Logistics. Been in the industry for about 24 years. And today I lead our commercial go-to and account management teams.
Good afternoon. I'm glad to be here. My name is Lance McCrorey. I'm Transportation Manager for Continental Tire. I've been in transportation for over 30 years.
Good afternoon. My name is Courtney Padgitt, and I'm the Senior Director of Logistics for Post Consumer Brands, and I've been in and around the logistics industry for about 25 years.
My name is Peter Weis. I'm the CIO at ITS Logistics, leading their tech transformation. Do I have to say how many years?
No.
Yes,
no.
sir. Okay. I think I trump everyone here. Glad to be here.
Now, for all of you who are in the audience, I know you have a lot of questions. You're just aching to ask questions about trailers. If you do have questions about trailers, you can put them in the Slido. Presumably, we will see them in front of us. We will answer them for you. We're going to get right into the meat and potatoes. So I love trailers. I've been clear about this since the very beginning. Drop trailers are the most efficient way to move freight. Drop trailers allow a truck driver to not have to sit around and wait. They're not live loading. They're picking up something, they're dropping off something, and they're moving. So we're going to start off this conversation. We're going to go to you first, Tom. If you can tell me, what is the drop fleet? What is a hybrid model? What are you all about?
Yeah, for sure. So as we all know, drop trailer and pool solutions have been around for decades. But really what is new is the environment that they're operating in, right? You've got market volatility, demand changes, business changes, carrier viability and financial stability. And you've got all these different dynamics that are coming in there where traditionally static pools may not be able to flex or scale as rapidly as what some shippers may need. That's where we brought in drop fleet. Drop fleet is really a hybrid capacity model where we inject not only our ITS-owned assets, but also our carrier capacity in order to customize specific solutions for each one of our shippers that are unique to their needs. So we could either customize it to be strictly ITS asset-owned trailers, it could be carrier partner equipment, or it could be a combination of the two. And really it allows that flexibility to, take on multiple lanes and be able to service them at higher frequency amounts, and then also be able to service it with multiple different carriers in order for those shippers to be able to scale up or scale back depending on how their market is moving for them.
What do shippers want? Shippers want well-maintained trailers. There's no doubt about that. How many of you in the audience, how many of you run trailers today? How many of you have trailers you're running? I see some hands. That's fantastic.
There we go.
I saw Shannon from Freightvana. Good to see you, my friend. Now listen, technology has changed so profoundly for trailers. 20 years ago, they said, hey, we can tell you where your trailer is twice a day. And people said, that's sorcery. That's magic. You can tell me where my trailer is? But fast forward to today, the technology has never been better. And this is a question for you, Peter. Can you talk a little about the technology that's inside the drop fleet?
Yeah, I can. So we've had tremendous growth. It's exciting to be here. We've got customers here. We've grown from 1,000 trailers to 6,000 or more and growing. And going public with this story is fantastic. But here's the deal about the tech. This is a 3-year overnight success for ITS. The key thing for us, before we get to trailers, was the transformation we had to do. We placed a big bet 3 years ago saying if we really wanted to differentiate ourselves and be different, everyone says we're different, right? But are we? Are we really different? What does it take to be different with tech? So we placed a big bet to toss out all of our legacy third-party platforms and place this big bet on our own AI-enabled cloud-native TMS. I know that's a mouthful. It took us about 2 years to build, but we launched it and it was successful, and we call it ITS Drive, which is for you techies out there. It runs on Azure. It's microservices based. All the data is in Databricks, and it's SOC 2 compliant. And that is the end of my technical comments. So we launched it and we rolled it out to all of our customers for the initial 1,000 trailers. And a funny thing happened. We just started growing and selling more trailer business. And because we had this platform nailed, what we call fast, up, and safe, sub-second response time, 4 nines availability, and a strong SOC 2 information security posture, we could go on offense. And we just started to build more features and more features and more features on our TMS for trailers. So my bet continues to be in the trailer space on software more than on hardware. Hardware standards evolve, products come up, products get tossed out. So the way that we can be great is by going faster and better than our competitors in this space. So we do all repair and maintenance on this platform. We have to manage all of our empty moves and match them up with revenue generating loads. We have a mobile app that over 95% of our carriers use today. They can upload pre and post trip inspections. And of course, we provide end-to-end visibility for every move of our trailers, both for the overall health of our network and also so that customers can see that they've got the trailers they need where and when they need them. So our bet is on software, continuing to push this. We'll see how the hardware goes, but those standards come and go, but great software endures. And as long as we don't muck it up and create tech debt by taking shortcuts down the road, I think we can maintain this sustainable advantage.
It's incredible to see how technology has evolved for the connected trailer. It's no longer it's like checking it with Skybits or some other telematics twice a day. There's door sensors, there's tire pressure monitoring systems, there's heat sensors. Like this is the most interesting time ever in supply chain is right now. But we can all talk about how much we love trailers. Let's talk about people who actually use the trailer. So I want to move to you, Lance, and kind of get your perspective of how trailers have changed the way you guys move freight, how the drop program has been so effective for you. Can you talk a little bit about that for the audience?
Yes, for us at Continental Tire, the model we have for the drop trailers allow us to be more efficient. Sorry about that. Like for example, it takes us, because we're tires, we floor load our tires manually in trailers, and loading of one trailer can take between 2.5 to 3.5 hours for one trailer. And if we had carriers coming in for a live load, the driver would lose so much valuable time doing that. So by doing a drop trailer, they arrange when they want to pick it up by a certain time, and our warehouses make sure that the trailer is loaded at that time. So when the driver comes in, he just dropping hooks, got the paperwork, and just moves on from there within the 20 to 30-minute process without the driver losing valuable time, which he or she could be driving, making deliveries.
What's interesting about what we've seen over the last, let's say, 20 years of how freight has moved in America, it is back in 1980, there were 18,000 motor carriers. Today, there's over 550,000 motor carriers. And in the old days, it was everyone had a truck, everyone had a trailer. It was this whole regimented, very, very regulated industry. But we have watched brokerages and intermediaries capture enormous market share. Today, over 300 billion, that's billion with a B, is moved through third-party intermediaries with these small motor carriers. And small motor carriers just don't have access to trailers. Platforms like ITS gives the smaller motor carrier the ability to do this drop and hook phenomenon, which is, again, the most efficient way to move freight. So for Courtney, moving to you, how has this impacted how you guys run your business? How is this effective for what you guys do every day?
Yeah, I think I would start with kind of going back in time that for post-consumer brands, cereal plants, very big. They're producing somewhere on the order of 40 to 60 loads a day. And in that manufacturing industry, we're doing that out of a plant that might have anywhere from 2 to 4 doors. So we've been very asset heavy for a very long time because, frankly, all the warehouse space in the cereal industry got used up by, hey, how can we build more plants that produce more things? That's a valuable way for us to use our assets rather than warehouse space. So what that would force us to do is really rely heavily on asset-based solutions or something where we would shuttle to a warehouse and rehandle the product. Drop trailers are the most efficient way to do that, but usually that was only with asset-based carriers. What this unlocks for us is the ability to produce product that we don't actually always know where it will go, but we know that we have providers like ITS that have 4, 6, 8 lanes out of a plant, and we know that they're going to get a 10 to 15 to 20% of the production, so we can load it before we really know where it's going to go, and that just builds in all kinds of flexibility and capacity. But then it also unlocks the ability to use brokers, because we weren't able to use brokers as much in the past because we needed them to have their assets, and it became a fight over assets, to be honest with you.
It's interesting because if you, again, go back in time, 20 years ago, 6% of freight in the United States was moved through a third-party intermediary. Today, it's 20, 25%. Now, I got to be honest with all of you. We're all friends here now. Trailers isn't all easy. It's a difficult process. So I'm going to go back to you, Lance. Let's talk about some challenges. What are the challenges that you had to deal with? What are some of the wins? But let's focus at the beginning. What are some challenges you've seen with trailers?
The challenges that I've seen personally have been like, for example, we may have some of our customers that don't unload trailers in a timely manner, in which makes a trickle down effect. When the carrier goes in, he has to bobtail out. So again, that's a fee for us, of course. Then also it started limiting some of their drop trailers for us to preload. So now with that, they have to come back in and live load. And if you have a 2 o'clock appointment, for an example, and if the carrier is late for that appointment, now they have to be worked in. So now a driver can look at losing not just 3 hours of being loaded, now being worked in, a driver can be on site for 5+ hours. So now you're less efficient. And now that load is at risk of not being on time. So those are some of the challenges that we've seen for not having trailers.
I'm going to back to you, Tom. Like you hear a customer like Lance has an issue with the trailers. They need to get better movement and things. What do you do to help solve that? How do you address those issues?
Yeah, for sure. I think as we start to diagnose what those problems are and we design a solution, we go back into our network and we start to see what is the best solution here, whether it's an ITS asset solution. Do we go with some of our carrier partners, or do we do a mix and blend of everything combined? Really how we look at it is those origin and destination pairs. And then we start to flow that through our actual TMS and our network to understand where can we close some loops, where can we grab some value, and where can we optimize even on our end, not just on their end as well. So as we start to go through the thousands of carrier relationships that we have that have been vetted, that are either hauling ITS drop fleet trailers or their equipment is running through our system, that's where we start to leverage it all. Today we've got a few thousand carriers running the 6,000 trailers that we've got in our network. But we also
6,000 trailers, just had to emphasize
correct.
that.
Yep, 6,000. That does flex up. A year ago when I first started with ITS, we were at around 3,200. We flexed up in Q4 2025 just for peak up to 7,000, but now we flexed back down based on customer demand and need. So those are things of how we can kind of flow within there. But given that said, we still have access to over 300,000 pieces of equipment just with our carrier partner network that's within our network. So when we combine all that together, we understand what the problem is, we design that solution, and that's where we start to bring it back to customers like Lance and Courtney here, on what fits best within their network.
Let me just pull that thread. So all of you who are taking notes, you have 6,000 trailers that you have, and you have an additional 300,000 trailers from your carrier partners that you can use to help solve problems for your customers.
Correct. All flowing through the system, all running through our tech. It really comes down to not just the tech enablement piece that helps us manage this and apply those design solutions that we bring to the table, but it also comes down to the execution arm, right? The people on the desk, the vetted carriers, the deep relationships that we have in order to bring that solution to life.
Now, I'm going to go back to you, Courtney, and we're talking about challenges of trailers. It's not all beautiful working swing doors with no airlines having problems. All the mud flaps are perfect. Tell me about some times when trailers have been a challenge. What are some of the challenges you've encountered in this process?
Well, so when you asked Lance what the challenges were, I started going, okay, well, what are the challenges? And I don't mean this to be like a sell story or anything for ITS, but really, I'm going to go back to Peter. We haven't had that many, to be honest with you, because really, like Tom said, they're managing with their tech a lot of what would be the traditional fights. It's who gets the trailers, how are we going to maintain pool, how are we going to get those on site, and are we turning them fast enough? That's always going to be there, but they've actually allowed us to outsource some of that problem because they are working with us on other solutions. And I think the tech is a piece of that. I don't get to see the tech directly, so I don't know for sure, but I think that's how they're leveraging it. And that is where the win honestly comes for us. It's when we have a partner in the industry who can solve a problem for us without putting it back on us.
It's interesting. I'm going to go back to you, Peter, to talk about the technology behind the scenes that helps solve these problems. But again, we got some great questions in the Slido. If you have questions about trailers or drop fleet, please put them in the Slido. We're going to get to those questions here in a little bit. But how do you design technology to manage 300,000 trailers?
Very carefully. So, frankly, it just all goes back to software, but done in conjunction with the leadership of the company. We've got a super horizontal, fast-moving culture. Everyone is involved. Of course, we have a software product team like software companies do. They're on the floor. They're co-located with everyone living and breathing and sweating every single shipment, every single day. So there's a big cultural component to what we do. We call it the ITS way. We go fast, we're honest, we're committed, and we go like mad. It is the craziest, most fun place I've ever worked. So there is so much magic in our culture. And what that allows us to do is to pivot very quickly, to be nimble. When we make a mistake, we correct it. And so we believe in the collective intelligence that we have on the floor. It can't get stuck in committees. It can't get stuck in fiefdoms. It needs to be done together, all as one team. I have access to the CEO. The CEO has access to every product manager. That's just the way we're built. So there is a lot of secret sauce that comes from the culture itself. And then the software, frankly, takes care of itself because we have capital set aside. We're profitable, we're growing. And so we're in a very desirable position because we crossed the chasm of getting that whole TMS put in place. So do I know what we're going to build in 6 months? Mostly. Do I know what we're going to build in 12 months? Absolutely not. And that's the way we work. And that's why if you're great at software, so many other things follow. And the other thing I'd call out is around data aggregation. So there are a lot of companies here that provide some slices of the data. There are 0 companies here who provide all of that data. So what are you going to do? Throw your arms up and go home? Or are you going to try to solve the data aggregation problem, which we spend a lot of time tech-wise making sure that data is believable, complete, and accurate, and trustworthy for us to not just manage the shipments, but also provide to our customers. So there's a big push around data. If you get the data right, you've won 51% of the battle.
One thing I noticed, I'm sure many of you have noticed this too, with Courtney and Lance, you're thinking, oh, these are enterprise shippers with, looks like probably dry vans they're using, probably swing doors. Looking at you, Tom, like, do we see a time when ITS is running temperature control? Do we see that in the horizon?
Yes, we do. Currently we are doing some temp control drop fleet with our partner carriers. As we look forward into 2026, we're sitting at around 6,000 or so trailers. Our anticipated number to hit is around 10,000, and I expect a portion of those trailers to actually be in the refrigerated space as we work with, key clients such as Courtney and Post over here and others that it may be a good fit for us to make that investment.
Are you itching for temperature control trailers, Peter? You want to know the specs, the multi-temp? What are you thinking about, Tim?
I want to hear our customers say this is what they want, and we will go faster and better than anyone else. I don't have a crystal ball, but we love the innovation. We love doing it with customers.
I want to kind of emphasize for everybody here, like the future innovation of the supply chain, everything that you envision supply chain doing, everything is predicated on connected, well-maintained trailers. You want to have autonomous trucks, can't do it with well-maintained connected trailers. So everything the future promises is all around that incredibly amazing 53-foot box with swing doors, sometimes roll doors, sometimes it has a Moffett or a drop deck. Tom, do you see other trailer types you would go into getting into in the space?
It all depends on the opportunity. We are having conversations with shippers around dedicated opportunities that may include open deck trailers, curtain vans, different things of that. So it just kind of depends on the opportunity, how it's a fit into our network, and we'll make a decision there on what we do.
Well, we're going to start looking towards the future. And please, we got some great questions in the Slido. Please continue to add those. We'll get to those at the very end. I want to move to you again, Lance. As we're thinking about the future, predicting the market, it seems like everything is pretty much predictable at this stage, right? Like, how do you see 2026? What are you excited about this year?
Well, for us, I'm excited about, we have so many changes in Continental this year. Of course, we have a FTO tender, of course, and with that requirement for more drop trailers.
Everyone needs trailers.
So, so many great things going on this year. And just talking to people like Tom, and not just say he's here, but just talking to people like Tom and his team about some of the things they're doing differently at ITS to see how can we use that to improve our service levels and some of our things we're doing, such as LTL opportunities, intermodal opportunities, anything else like that.
And for you, Courtney, same thing, looking at the future. Like, what are you getting excited about? Do you see a growing demand for trailers for your own operations?
Oh, absolutely. So Post Consumer Brands is a wholly owned subsidiary of Post Holdings. So we have an umbrella of companies, Michael Foods, Bob Evans Foods, et cetera. And our growth strategy is growth through acquisition. So in the last couple of years, just in the last year, we bought 8th Avenue Food and Provisions. Before that, it was the pet food brands from Smuckers. And every time we buy a new company, the first rule is don't muck it up. Yes. You know, as you work in integration. But the second rule is, well, how do you drive efficiency? And the key part of that is being able to work with companies like ITS who can be flexible with their trailer solution so that we can continue to really leverage the plant assets and drive more and more and more.
Now, I wasn't going to ask this question, Courtney, but I'm going to ask it now because I have, just for everyone who's in the audience, I have 4 children, 13, 10, and twins that are 3. When will Post offer a cereal as a service where I can subscribe to cereal that comes to me on a monthly basis? What does that look like?
You know, you're not the first person to ask that.
I told you, it's a good idea.
We'll see. We'll see.
All right, well, let's pivot to you, Tom. All right, we're looking into the future. We're seeing what's happening in 2026. A lot of uncertainty in the market. What are you looking at when it comes to the drop trailer fleet and other things you guys are looking to build?
Yeah, I think 2026, just from conversations with shippers, especially recently, you know, the last couple of years have been kind of a hold pattern. Not a lot of change that's happened within their networks. There's a lot of uncertainty that happened over 24 and 25. But now 2026 feels like a change year, right? Where it's how do we move forward and who do we do it with? So it's a lot of open conversations. You start to see, you know, financial stability troubles within the market with certain carriers. You're starting to see spot market volatility that's out there as well. There's a lot of different things that are happening. So for us, it's about engaging the right clientele, designing the right solutions, and figuring out where we inject drop fleet or whether we just inject a traditional brokerage type of solution for them and move forward. So I think for us, it's going to be continued, you know, growth on our side, specifically on the drop fleet, and aim for that 10,000 trailer mark, and then also continue to expand into refrigerated trailers and things of that nature. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm excited.
That's very cool. Oh, I lost my note. That's cool news to get hopefully into some temperature control. Now, Peter, I'm going to turn to you as we kind of get ready to close out the main part, and then we'll get to the questions. We have so many. I don't even know how to slide through them, but we'll figure it out. Peter, tell me about the future of the technology roadmap. I mean, I know the second coolest thing behind trailers is AI. People are all talking trailers first, AI second. What does the roadmap look like for the future for ITS Logistics?
Are you guys amazed? I've only said AI once in the first 25 minutes. Now I might say it a few times because the biggest problem I am worried about is if you think about cars on a road, on a freeway, if you increase cars by 15%, does the traffic slow 15% or more than that? It slows down more than that. It's more exponential than linear. So too with us. If we grow our trailers 20%, we have more than a 20% larger problem. So I'm very worried about how we're going to stay efficient, cost-effective, profitable, and do great work for our customers without investing more heavily in AI. So that's going to be a big one for us, is using AI to keep the throughput and efficiency going as we go to 10,000 trailers and beyond. That's a huge one. And a couple of other ones I'd call out is we've got a platform called Engage. It's our market-facing portal for both shippers and carriers. Today, we manage trailers internally and communicate some things out. But imagine if you're a customer or a carrier and you can go online to our portal and say, not just, hey, where are my shipments, but where are my trailers? What does my asset inventory look like for you guys? That's another big one that we plan to roll out. And there's a number of other use cases around AI that are all ROI based. We don't build at our company AI for AI's sake and say, whoopee, look at us. We're in the business of doing great work for customers and making money. So we'll take a focused approach to AI, but those are two really big ones.
All right, we're going to get to all of your questions. I know you're on the edge of your seat. I love the future we see for trailers. We're going to start with something near and dear to everyone in this room, cargo theft. TIA estimates it's a $35 billion a year problem. That's billion with a B. This is something that's not going away. We do have some congressional action with the Combating Organized Retail Crime Act, CORCA. You should learn about CORCA. But how does trailer tracking help solve or help deter the theft of these the freight? I'll start with you, Tom. What are you guys seeing in that space?
Yeah, I think trailer tracking is a big piece of it, and just having visibility to where your trailers are, the tech piece of it, of just having the visibility to it. But I also think it's the partners that you work with too. So thorough carrier vetting on our side, and it's not just at the carrier level, we're also vetting at the driver level. So much like how an asset-based carrier is going to have their driver registry of who's hauling those trailers, we're doing the same thing on our end. And Peter might be able to talk about this a little bit more, but we're also unveiling some technology that will be able to scan the driver's license, scan it through AI facial recognition, and then also be able to produce English language proficiency tests that they'll have to go through. That'll all then feed into our system, so we'll have a full built-out driver registry, and that also helps us, tackle theft and fraud.
The use case for technology in trailers has never been stronger. I'll go to you next, Peter. Same question. How do you see the telematics impacting what we see in the cargo theft space?
Well, I think you touched on the big one that we're working on, I think, which is this driver registry. That is far and away the biggest one that we see right now, both English speaking and also making sure that we fully vet, not just for general fraud issues, but also every single driver. This issue is not going away. The business climate, the political climate, we don't think is going to change anytime soon. So we really see that as far and away the biggest item for us.
Now, my next question is, I'm not picking on you, Lance. I'm not picking on you. I'm not picking on you. It's about trailer damage. And tire companies, if you know, they're rough with those trailers. So how are you handling trailer damage and accountability? I'm sure Courtney has challenges too, but Lance, please, I'd love to start with you.
To be totally honest, we have not had as much as I thought we would have. We've had a few where one of our yard jockeys will break a airline. So with that, we reach out to the carrier, and then normally get someone out there in the next few hours to replace that. Then we have had an issue where some of the tires do make the sidewalls bow out. So when that happens, we contact the carrier, know what's going on, bring in another trailer if you have one, if you don't have one already on site. So those are the only ones that I see. But again, that still is not as much I think should be out there, because with tires, you would think a lot more will go out, but it's not as much. So I'm gonna knock on wood that so far it's not as bad for us.
If you ever get a chance to see a fully loaded trailer with tires in it, it is a thing of art. They are beautiful. Courtney, do you have any similar issue with damaged trailers, anything like that?
No, we have no damaged trailers at all. It never happens. But no, what I would say is it's not a lot different in this space with drop fleet than it is with any other asset-based carrier that we deal with from our end. So I don't know. I might kick it over to Tom to see if it's different on his end.
Yeah, I mean, 25 years ago when we started as a company, we were an asset-based company, right? A couple trucks, a couple trailers, and then a small warehouse. And we grew really in the asset space before we really dove into brokerage, and now where we're at today. So not only do we have asset optimization teams on the floor, but we also have asset maintenance teams. So a lot of it comes down to just the process that we execute. Every driver that we dispatch on a load has to do pre and post trip inspections, send pictures. And so we're checking and tracking the maintenance on every single one of those trailers.
Now we're getting close. We have 5 minutes left. Continue to get your questions in. I will be honest with you. I'm so sorry. We're not going to get to all of them, but this one is for ITS guys explicitly. What can make or break the profitability of a trailer program? That is a great question. I'll start with you, Pete.
I love this question. I love it. It all starts with acknowledging that whether you buy or lease trailers, you are adding costs. And what you cannot do is park those costs in some mysterious corporate overhead account over here and then do your gross margin thing and think everything is okay and then find out your results are disappointing. So the approach that we took, first with the cost, and I'll talk about the pricing side, we ended up breaking down and figuring out what an actual cost was per trailer for us to have it in inventory at a sufficient level of availability. And we built that into our cost structure. So any load that would get covered by one of our logistics people would take that into consideration. And the board and the CEO, the COO, we all talked about this, and that was the only way to do it, so that everyone could transparently see the cost of those trailers upfront and make informed decisions and work with their carriers on that pricing. On the customer pricing side, it's all about high quality relationships. There will be times when the customer wins or the broker wins. That happens. If you've got high quality, long-standing relationships, they'll get it. They'll get it, and they won't necessarily try to squeeze every penny out. Sometimes they will, but the better your relationships, the better they'll appreciate having this inventory of trailers. By the way, even if they don't use them, we have grown dramatically because of our trailer, even with customers that don't use our trailers very often. Just having them available has been absolutely crucial.
Now we're going to get to the lightning round because we have 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and they are very, very adamant about timekeeping, though we have a little bit of time because there's no thing for another half hour. This is for both Lance and Courtney. I'll start with you, Lance. If drop trailers are more efficient than live load, like what is the difference in efficiency that you see for your own operational needs, live load versus drop and hook?
Yeah, as I stated earlier, for a drop trailer, what we have a thing called yard view. So a carrier go in there, schedule their pickup in yard view. For example, he said, I want a load ready by 4 p.m. on Wednesday. Doing that, our warehouse give a good lead time. So by noon Wednesday, trailer's ready for pickup. So if they want to come in early, they can get that. On a live load, you schedule an appointment for 4 p.m. If the driver's not there by 4 p.m., he misses his or her appointment, and now you extending your time on being ready to leave out of there. So it's less efficient for me to say, personally think that live loads for me, it kills too much of the driver's time by getting loaded.
The same question for you, Courtney. What's the difference you see live load versus a drop and hook for your operations?
So I think a lot of us got into logistics because we like trade-offs, okay? And we like to wear the white hat. Logistics people like to be people who solve problems and who help the business win. The way the drop trailers are more effective for us than live load is that it does allow us as logistics people to, within transportation, wear the white hat. Manufacturing doesn't want to change the way they do things. They want to run, load. On the other end, we have our warehouses that are trying to manage their labor pool and get that as efficient as possible. And then we have the customer, the Walmarts, the Amazons, the Krogers of the world, who also need to run their warehouses more efficient. You have to have some flexibility in the system. This solution helps us to be effective. It doesn't necessarily translate into the lowest total transportation cost, but it allows us to be an enabler for either the warehouse, the manufacturer, or the customer to lower their costs.
We have time, I think, for one last question, but each of you can opine on this one. So to make a drop trailer operation work effectively at a warehouse, there must be an ideal dwell time. Like, what is the gold standard for dwell time? We'll start with you, Tom, and we'll work our way down. I need a very specific number.
As short as possible.
We use a 4-hour time frame. So
I don't know if it's ideal, but our dwell time in the yard is 48 hours on average.
And whatever Tom said.
All right, I guess we're at the very end of our session. I want to thank everybody for making time today to come and learn about trailers, the incredible things that ITS is doing, the folks at Lance and Courtney making time to come and talk about their experience. If you have questions for any of them, and there are a ton more questions we did not get to, Please find these men, talk with them, ask them questions. There is so much to be said about trailers. This was supposed to be actually a 2-hour-long session, but we had to really clip it down to 30 minutes. So thank you all for making it. And we love trailers, so thank you.